Okay, so I'm at one of my most favorite places in nature, and if you have been with me from the beginning, you probably remember this place, and I call it Hansel and Gretel's Hideaway because, I mean, look at it, it is just a Hansel and Gretel's Hideaway. And I don't know if you can see it, but there is this really cool tree formation. Here it is. And I just really love this place. It is a mixture between creepy yet magical at the same time. And today it just feels really uplifting. But there is times when it feels really heavy in here. But yeah, I just always come here when I want to see mushrooms and moss. There is so much moss on this little path right here. And I don't know about you, but recently I have been really feeling the thinning of the veil, and so I thought in today's video I could share some of the things that I do as a modern witch to prepare for the darker months of the year, because to be honest, I feel like now protecting your home and like having a place where you feel magical and uplifted and safe is more important than ever. And so this is what we are going to do today. But before that, let's hang out a little while longer here. Bella is with me as well, and let's enjoy the scenery, and then let's go home and yeah, I can share some tips that I do as a modern witch to prepare myself for the darker months of the year. I really hope you enjoy. I think I found the biggest toadstool I have ever seen. Let me show it to you, it's so pretty. Okay, these are the most beautiful toadstools I have ever seen. Now, there are many simple ways and places to weave magic into your home, like your doors, your windows and the window sills, your garden and your patio, or your kitchen. And many of these practices appear again and again in folklore. And so I personally really love to incorporate these practices into my own personal practice, because I know that they have been tested and refined by people for decades and even hundreds of years. And there may be different folklore and traditions in your area, so make sure you do your own research about your local folklore, and then you can see what you may want to incorporate into your own practice from that. And my favorite practices for the darker months of the year are a blend of folklore, house magic and cleansing magic, and I'm also doing a lot of set and forget magic because I'm a busy like a bee witch, and so I may hang an herb bundle above my front door and I will just leave it there until I can feel that now is the time to change it up. And I know that what I'm doing may sound simple, but we have to remember that our ancestors did not have the access to all of these stores that we have nowadays. They did not have the access to all these things from all over the world. They really just used what was available to them, and so they really had to come up with the most powerful practices, is what I believe. And so I just really love incorporating these traditions and customs into my own practice around this time of the year. Okay, I know I sound like a broken record, but the first thing you want to do to prepare for the darker months of the year is to do some cleansing magic. You really want to prepare your home by giving it a deep cleanse, by wiping away the dust and the spider webs that keep the stagnant energy in your home. Also declutter the things that you no longer need to, again, just really get rid of the stagnant energy that is lingering in your home and that may have accumulated in the past months of the year. And I made an extensive video about cleansing magic, so I will link it up here and you can go ahead and watch it after watching this video, of course. But cleansing magic really is a big part of my preparations for the darker months of the year. It is the fundament for everything else that I'm doing, and after this big initial cleanse of my home that I'm doing around September and October, I'm also regular cleansing with herbs that I harvested throughout the year or essential sprays that I love using as well. Now, the second thing that you can do to prepare your home for the darker months of the year, like a witch, is to do some house magic and strengthen the relationship to your house spirit. And if you are not familiar with house magic deals with the concept that your home is enspirited. And if you strengthen the relationship to the spirit that inhabits your home, if you treat it with respect, and you build a trustful relationship, it can then support you in return in many ways. Now again, my practice around this time of the year is a blend of folklore, house magic and cleansing magic, but I feel like that these three are not discussed enough in combination and they are mostly seen separately. But what I learned is that they are really enhancing each other so much. So for example, if I do the cleansing magic and I keep my house clean, then my house spirit is happy and it feels more home in there as well. And so it will probably support me in return. And if I have a good relationship with my house spirit, it can tell me where my protection may be off or where I need to do something to protect my home better, right? So by doing the cleansing magic, by building this respectful, trustful relationship with my house spirit, I can then improve my protection for my home and therefore have a better protection magic practice. So I just really love doing all three of them, combining them, because again, they really support each other so much. And there is another plus point, because if you do the cleansing magic, if your home is clean, your house spirit is happy, it can support you by telling you where something feels off or giving you impulses where you may need some protection. You will feel more home and grounded and nourished. So really try to strengthen the relationship to your house spirit. You can even dedicate it a small place in your home and give it little gifts and offerings. It really likes that. And I just always have to think about Calcifer from Howl's Moving Castle. I just love Ghibli, but Calcifer really for me is embodying the concept of the house spirit, because like he is there, he protects the castle, the moving castle, and he gets wood like he eats the wood and then he is happy and healthy. So try to think about your house spirit like that, and I promise you it will really enhance your practice because you feel more safe. You are like in an environment where you feel home and nourished, and your magical practice will improve by that as well. So there only is plus points by doing that. Now, where I live, there is many interesting traditions. So for example, people will give salt and bread as a housewarming gift because this is supposed to ensure prosperity and protection from evil. Or herbal bouquets were and still are a big thing here in Germany, and you can still see them, especially in older people's houses or the house of a witch like my house. But back in the day, people collected herbs throughout the year because this was basically their apothecary for winter. Herbal bouquets were also thrown a lot in the fire, especially during the Sabbath celebrations, because this was supposed to ensure fertility and also again protection from evil and to ward off evil influences. And you can also see blessings and spells that are engraved into a house or a door frame, because again this was also supposed to hinder any evil from entering the house. And so I will take a lot of inspiration from these traditions and incorporate them into my own personal practice because, again, people have tested them for many, many years, and I just love keeping up these traditions. They also kind of give the year a rhythm and help me stay focused with my practice. And so there is a lot of things that I do that are influenced by old traditions. And the first thing that I do that is probably the most well-known thing among witches is to keep a witch's broom next to my entrance door upside down. And so your witch's broom can not only act as a magical tool to sweep away unwanted energies, it can also act as a form of protection when it is placed upside down next to your entrance door. And it can then help to deter unwanted visitors or make them leave earlier. Now again, I kind of take inspiration from the tradition and then kind of make my own thing out of it. But I found that making a witch's broom with lavender, hawthorn and rosemary is really, really powerful. And so I have been starting making these little witch's brooms and just hanging them everywhere in my home. And I also have a bigger one next to my entrance door. But of course, you can also use your witch's broom in the normal way and use it to sweep out all the unwanted energy. And I do that by walking through every room counterclockwise and then sweeping out all of the energy accumulated out of the back door. Now, another really cool and magical way to prepare your home for the darker months like a witch is to paint sigils, runes or symbols above your door or in your home. And throughout history, there is various apotropaic symbols, which are also known as witch marks, that have been found in various houses and basements and other historical buildings, especially above the front door, because they were said to ward off the evil or even witches when this belief was still present. And apotropaic in its Greek origin means to ward off. Common symbols are crisscrossing lines, and I read that they were supposed to confuse the ghost or the evil so they would not enter. The hexafoil, which is also known as the daisy wheel, or the pentagram, of course. And so your girl got inspired by that, and after doing so much research about folklore and traditions, I started painting sigils, runes or symbols above my doors or windows where I felt like more protection was needed. I also saw people painting them on their walls before putting up the tapestry, which is definitely something I would do in a permanent home. And also because of the crisscrossing line, I saw that putting 2 needles under your doormat that are creating the X shape will bring some more protection there are 2 needles now under my doormat. So this is what I have been loving doing recently when it comes to preparing my home for the darker months of the year. Now, another measure for warding off unwanted energy from your home that appears in many folklores is the use of iron and the use of a horseshoe above your entrance door. A horseshoe is traditionally made of iron, and so there is the superstition that if you hang a horseshoe above your entrance door, it will bring you good luck and also protection. And most people hang it so the horseshoe creates a U shape because this is said to keep in the good luck so it cannot fall out. Other people use it the exact other way. There is not really a common sense how this should be done, but make sure that you check in with your local spirits, like your house spirit or other spirits that you are working with, because iron is said to be not so popular among spirits and also, for example, the good people. And so make sure that if you are using iron in your home, it's okay for your local spirits that you are working with. But I also read that modern houses are made of so much iron nowadays that the spirits kind of got used to iron a little bit better. But in my opinion, it's always best to check in with them and see if this is something that they would like or not. Salt is another ingredient that has been used over and over again in many folklores and fairy tales and grimoires, and it is said to be one of the most effective and powerful ingredients when it comes to warding off negativity and unwanted energies. So, for example, I'm sure you read about a protective circle made with salt in a fairy tale or another book, and this circle will keep you safe as long as the circle is whole and not destroyed. And so I just really believe that if something repeats over and over again, there has to be like the core that is true. And I myself found that salt is really protective. So many witches, myself included, we sprinkle salt into the corners of our rooms because this is said to cleanse the space, and salt is also said to absorb unwanted energies and negativity. And so this is another way how you can prepare your home for the darker months of the year. And if you sprinkle salt in front of your doorway or on your windowsill, this is also said to repel unwanted visitors. And so, as you can see, many of these traditions aim to prevent unwanted visitors in the first place, like not letting anything in the first place, so they would not have to deal with it once it is in. And that's just my interpretation. And another thing that I also really like to do is keeping bowls with salt water in every room. And it is said that if the salt begins to wander up the bowl, then it is now absorbing the unwanted energies. And you can then throw it out, like not touching it with your bare hands, using gloves, and then like tossing everything out of your home. Okay, so after sharing the folklore, let me share some of the more personal practices that I love to do as a modern witch around this time of the year. And again, I love being inspired by old folklore, by old traditions, but I also did a lot of research. I read from other witches and their experiences. I learned from that, and I just started trying things out and then integrating what worked for me and what supported my personal practice. And so I highly recommend you do the same. If something that I share here does not resonate with you, just leave it and see what other things that you can integrate into your practice that resonate with you, that make you feel safe and that support your personal practice. Now, witch bells are something that are always in my home. I have them on my doors, on my windows. I keep some on my bag with me, even in my car. And so witch bells really are something that are surrounding me every single day of the year, not necessarily for the darker months of the year. But yeah, witch bells, I really love them. They are super simple, also really easy to make yourself. And the sound of the witch bells are said to repel unwanted energy and also to clear the energy, so nothing like that is negative or unwanted can enter the space. And witch bells are also said to bring the perfect balance and harmony. And I shared this before, but witch bells to me are also a gentle reminder of the present moment. So for example, when I step outside of my door and I hear the witch bells and I know that now I have to get out into the noisy world, that more often than not really overwhelms me. I take a minute, I ground myself, and I just feel into the present moment. And so whenever I hear the jingling of the bells, I take a minute to get back into the present moment. So another really cool plus point when you have witches bells all around your home. Now, mirrors are said to be really powerful magical wards, and so mirror magic is something that I have been trying out more recently. And so I put up some mirrors in front of my entrance door and my windows, and usually I anoint the mirrors with essential oils that enhance the protection, like mugwort, rosemary, lavender, or anise. And you could even paint a sigil, rune, or symbol on the back of the mirror. So you again could create a sigil that represents protection for you, or you could even write a sentence on the back of the mirror, like directly back to the sender. And now that I think about it, this would be really cool. But like, of course, mirrors in like a more metaphorical way reflect something. So by putting them out of your window or your door, you kind of reflect bad intentions right back to where they came from. And so I just really like this metaphor and I love putting them up. I have little sun and moon mirrors that are so cute and I just really love having them. Now, one of my most beloved natural tools for protection are pine cones and the pine in general. So whenever I go outside, I collect these pine cones. I have them around my home in little bowls. I create garlands with them and even put them up on my Wheel of the Year tree. And don't worry, we will decorate it soon, but I just really enjoyed looking at a clean sleeve, so to say. I really enjoyed the clean look of the Wheel of the Year tree and not putting too many things there, but we will decorate it soon. But I just really love having pine cones in my home. They are said to be highly protective and I even have them tattooed on my arm. And so I love pine cones. I love the essential oil of the pine tree, which is also something that I use in my practical magic. And you can find them now, like around autumn and winter, you should be able to find pine cones. And I again love going outside, collecting them, crafting with them, and knowing that they bring protection inside. And another thing that I really love doing as a modern witch to prepare for the darker months of the year is to put ivy literally everywhere in my home. I feel like ivy is one of the plants that is mostly associated with witches, and in Germany there are still many old houses that are covered in a blanket of ivy, and I read that it was believed that if ivy covers your house, that no evil or negativity could enter. And I just really also love the aesthetic of a green ivy blanket that is covering a house. Of course, you don't have to let ivy take over your house unless, of course, you want to. But you could simply put ivy offsprings in your home like I do. I have little vases and I put an ivy in there, and I have them especially where I spend a lot of time on my altars. And ivy is also said to be a natural air purifier because it can absorb harmful ingredients in the air, and so it is a natural air purifier as well, and we love when things are magical and practical at the same time. Now, eggshells are also a little bit of everyday magic that I do. They kind of have the same effect as salt because eggshells are also said to absorb negativity and unwanted energies. And so after using eggs, I usually wash the shells and then dry them, and then I can create little powders with them and keep them again like in rooms so they can absorb unwanted energies, and you can then throw away the eggshells after you worked with them in your magical practice. And of course, as a green witch, there are my beloved herb bundles. I make herb bundles throughout the year all the time. I use different herbs that I encounter on my journey as a witch. And lately I have been really drawn to hawthorn, and I am currently working on a secret project. But a little spoiler, did you know that Sleeping Beauty was surrounded by hawthorn, and so no king or prince could enter and save her? I'm so excited to share the project with you next year. But yeah, I have felt really drawn to hawthorn recently and like learning more about its magical properties. It is said to be highly protective, and so here in Germany it was a custom to create a bundle of hawthorn and put it on your entrance door to keep unwanted energies out, or make a wreath out of it. And so seasonal wreaths are also something that I always do. Again, I'm using ingredients that are said to be protective, like lavender, rosemary, hawthorn, and I have them in my rooms, on my doors, and they are just beautiful to look at, and again are practical and magical. And I also keep a bundle of hawthorn above my bed, by the way, because if you think about it, Sleeping Beauty, after sleeping for 100 years, she was waking up looking as beautiful as she was before sleeping. And so this is also giving the hint that hawthorn is really good when it comes to dreaming magic and offering you a good night's sleep. And of course, this is no medical advice. Do your own research. I'm just like sharing what I learned when it comes to my folklore research. Now, as a witch, candle magic is something that I feel naturally drawn to, and candles are an essential in my own practice. And around this time of the year, I light up more candles than usual, and I love dressing them with protective essential oils, again like rosemary, mugwort, or anise or lavender. And I also engrave sigils, symbols, or rune that reflect protection to me, and I let the candle burn until it is completely burned down. So I run through a lot of black candles around this time of the year, and I always choose black because black is the color that is associated with absorbing unwanted and negative energies. I mean, think about a black hole, right? And so black is my number one choice when it comes to a candle ritual. But yeah, candle magic around this time of the year, highly recommend. It is so easy, and I mean, candles are just beautiful. When you are reading, you have a candle burning. It is so cozy. And black candle rituals are, by the way, really good if you want to break a hex, if you want to do some clearing after a conflict, or if you also want to break bad habits. Alright, magical ones, so I really hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, then please don't forget to do the YouTube magic, like the video, because this shows the YouTube fairies that they can recommend my content to more people. I now also have the opportunity to hype a video in my mobile app, so if I like a video, then I can hype it, which is basically like even more liking and it really helps me out so much. So if you have the function already, please like and hype, and let me know down below what you like the most, what you may try out yourself when it comes to preparing your home like a witch this year. And yeah, subscribe. I think this is what I forgot. Subscribe, because we have a lovely community here. And yeah, I will see you again next week with a really exciting video, and I hope you have a beautiful magical week. So see you then. Bye bye.